This title isn't clickbait, and if you've been around the channel for a while, you wouldn't be surprised to know something this stupidly specific has happened to me. Again. Today I'm attempting my first storytime video, so this could be a train wreck, but I don't care. I think the story's really funny and I wanted to share it with you. Since I'm about to embarrass myself, just let me make sure that I adopt a more cute looking appearance so that you guys feel a bit worse about making fun of me in the comments. Okay, hopefully now you'll be a bit more hesitant on calling me an idiot. Do you guys remember how earlier this year, Capcom invited me to their London office to play the first 5 hours of Monster Hunter Wilds in an exclusive preview event? Needless to say, far more professional content creators were also invited. This was my first time ever getting to do something like this, so I was, for lack of a better word, very fucking nervous. Because Capcom had invited so many creators, we had to be split into a few separate days. Sadly, this meant that I missed the chance to hang out with some of my creator friends like Dark Hero and the Eric's Gaming crew. However, I did end up arriving the night before the preview event so I could have dinner with my boys, Jono, the EU community manager who actually invited me, and Rurikon, who I'm sure most of you know as the Gunman's crackhead. The first day of the preview event had already happened, so everyone I knew was already going home, with the exception of Rurikon, who was flying in the next morning, and Jono, who obviously had to be there for the next day. I mean, that's his job, right? So out of curiosity, I was like, yo, Jono, who else is gonna be there creator-wise? Because I just want to know if I'm gonna know anyone there. Jono then mentioned a channel called PNDKNM, and they're a fighting game channel that specializes in Mortal Kombat that I didn't know about because I'm dumb. Jono was just about to tell me about another channel representative that was gonna turn up, but then Rurikon showed me something on his phone and my short attention span got the better of me. I explained to these fellas that I felt very nervous because I'm still a pretty small creator and I was partaking in such an exclusive event. But the guys were super supportive. In fact, Rory said some words of encouragement that I don't think I'll ever forget. It doesn't matter whether you have 100 subscribers or 100,000. Your content is cringe either way. Thanks, Rory. We finish dinner, we go back to the hotel, hang out in the lobby for a bit, and then we all go bye-bye sleepy time. Okay, now we gotta quickly detach from the story because I need to give you guys some context here. As you might know, I'm a VTuber. Yeah, I know, it's shocking. Now, despite being a VTuber myself, I don't really follow a great deal of other VTubers because I am extremely picky. So when I actively keep up with a VTuber, I do so for very specific reasons. Like, I follow Sayu VTuber because he's funny and a great voice actor. I follow Malicious because I think she's really cute and really wholesome. Chibidoki because she is literally my sleep paralysis demon. And Giga because her personality is just hot as fuck. You get the point. Back to the story. Morning comes, I put my big boy pants on, and off I go to the preview. I was the first one to get there, and I was greeted by Jono and one of his other co-workers who we're just gonna call Bob. Not because I feel like he was unimportant, he was actually a really cool guy, and I don't want to put his name out there. We go into the Capcom office, which was really cool. They have like all these statues and merch of the Capcom games like Resident Evil, Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, all that jazz. There was this one desk that had a Lady Dimitrescu statue on the right-hand side, and this statue was massive. I'm talking like this was at least 2 foot tall. So how that desk was not falling to the right side is beyond me. Like, I don't know, maybe he had a matching one on the left side or something. They take me into this big room full of desks. Each desk has a PS5, a monitor, a headset, and also a food station with free drinks and free snacks. There was also an armed guard in the room that had been put under specific instructions to put a bullet in the back of my head if I started drooling over Gemma, which did not stop me, by the way. Important side note, but the headset wasn't like allowing us to record the audio properly for some reason, so we were all using the speakers from the monitors. This will be important later on. A little later, the guys from PNDKNM arrive and I introduce myself. We have a really nice chat, and I think they overestimated my professionalism because one of them told me about all these content plans that they had in mind, what to do with the footage, and, you know, all these things laid out before they even started recording. And then they asked me what my plans were, and I was just sat there like, I will make a preview video. Anyway, we're informed that the session has started and we can start playing the game and recording our footage, and so obviously that's what we all started doing. And the event was going really well. Everyone was having a ton of fun, and I just had a blast, you know, meeting the other creators and having Jono and the other Capcom staff there to talk about Monster Hunter. It was really cool. Everyone there was just so fun and chill. Except for this guy, he fucking sucked. As the session progresses, this mysterious girl walks into the room, and at first I thought that maybe she was just one of the staff members that was coming in to check on things, until she took a seat at the station right next to mine. Before any of you freaks start saying that she wanted to sit right next to me because I'm so handsome and muscular, which I am, I was sat literally by the door, so the station to my right was the second closest station to the entrance. And if I was someone who was late to the event and wanted to set up as quickly as possible, that's exactly where I would go. Anyway, she sits down and packs her gear and sets it all up, which, by the way, she did this in like 2 seconds and my dumbass took at least 20 minutes. So right off the bat, I was impressed. I told her a quick hello, but she seemed busy and I didn't want to interrupt the fucking pit crew levels of speed going on, so I just decided to strike a quick conversation later on. A while after, I reached the segment where you have to travel from the Windward Plains to the Scarlet Forest for the first time, which has that automated on-rail segment on the Sacred, and coincidentally, she was also not looking too busy, so I decided to talk with her then. So I just quickly introduced myself and we had a quick chat about how her train was late, and that's actually why she arrived later in the event, and you know, I totally believe her because we're in London and trains being delayed is a very common occurrence. Let me diffuse something real quick. I know some of you guys are gonna joke around and be like, haha, look at her go. He's about to lay down that Shaolin level riz on the lady. Need I remind you fuckers that I'm getting married next year? Do you really think I'd throw my future wedding away just because of some cute girl that walked in and sat next to me? Remember kids, nothing is cooler than loyalty. She then asked me what kind of content I make and I very confidently said, "Who? Me? Oh, I just make some funny gaming videos, you know, nothing special." Sounds cool. What kind of gaming videos do you make? Well, you know, just some, you know, very educational, very family-friendly content. I'm a VTuber who talks about waifus. Oh, well, that's nice. Real talk, she was actually really nice, and she even congratulated me on making into an official Capcom creator event, even though I wasn't like a full-time pro. I then asked what does she do for content, and her reply was, "Oh, I'm not comfortable with sharing that." The first question that popped into my head was, bro, just who is this woman? And I don't even mean this in the rude way, like, oh, who do you think you are, bro? You think you're better than me? It was more like, holy shit, who am I sat next to? We've been talking for 10 plus minutes, and I just figured out that I'm either sat to someone who's really famous or a potential serial killer. Like, all of a sudden, the armed guard behind me looked real chill. Jokes aside, I completely anticipated this happening. You know, I'm going to a creator event. Maybe there are some people in there who don't show their face, and they're not comfortable with telling you what they do for content. So as any regular human being would, I instantly accepted her boundaries. We talked a little bit more about Monster Hunter, and then I had to lock in because I was about to fight Uthduna for the first time. As I'm concentrating on the game, Mystery Girl and Jono were chatting on my right side. Now, do you remember what I said earlier about the headphones not working, so we had to use the speakers? I promise I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but they were not even 3 feet away from me. And when you combine that with the fact that I partially lost my hearing in my left ear, and so my hearing in my right ear is way better, you get a perfect storm. But I stood strong. I didn't interrupt their conversation. In fact, I even tilted my head slightly so that hearing them was more difficult, which probably made me look even more suspicious. I'm already nervous about the position I'm in, but then all of a sudden, Mystery Girl says something that made my heart sink. As I'm unintentionally eavesdropping, I hear her say the words, "It was just some dumb VTuber shit." It was like Thanos just snapped me out of existence. I trusted her with my lovely little channel, a part of my life that I'm so proud of, and most people do not even know it exists. And there she was, breaking my tiny little heart into a million pieces while talking to one of my friends. Champagne without the sham, bro. But wait, I'm sure that you're sitting on the toilet right now and thinking something along the lines of, but Ark, didn't it cross your mind that she might be talking about a completely different person? As far as I'm aware, I'm the only VTuber in the building. But wait a minute, earlier she said that she refused to provide her creator identity. She could be the VTuber that she's talking about. It sounds obvious now when I think about it, but if you think that I had the mental capacity to piece together this puzzle at the time, you are incredibly mistaken. After this tragedy, I just sat there like a deflated balloon screaming inside, only finding glimpses of happiness whenever I see cutscenes of Gemma crafting something. Mystery Girl and I keep talking here and there. After all, we're gonna be in that room together for most of the day, and I'm not about to be a petty bitch. If she hates VTubers and and thinks they're cringe, that's fine. After all, some of my own regular viewers share the sentiment. After a few hours, we had some more time left, so the Capcom staff actually allowed us to do some multiplayer hunts together, and, you know, we're just all laughing, having a good time, playing Wilds. And all of a sudden, Mystery Girl turns to me and goes, "You know what? Since you trusted me with your creator identity, let me share mine with you." She pulls out her phone, and I'm just sat here like, this is either gonna be a big channel or a picture of a dead body. And to be honest, at this point, I don't even know which one would be worse. You don't have an obligation to tell me what content you do. It's completely fine. She gently insisted, and, you know, she said it was fine, so she tilts her phone over to me, and for a second, for a split moment, just before I looked at her phone, I remembered something incredibly specific. A YouTube Shorts where a VTuber talks about being British, but mostly using an American accent. And that VTuber was none other than Limu. Limalicious, one of the VTubers that I mentioned earlier in the video. You know, one of the like 5 VTubers that I actually watch. And as I snap back into reality, I look over to her phone, and my eyes just widen in pure shock. She was showing me her Twitch channel, and surely enough, it was Limu herself. Oh my sweet Lottabutt! It was like the stars aligned to demonstrate just how incredibly oblivious I am. It all made sense. Her accent, her comment about VTubers being cringe, it all fell into place like it was a fucking Tetris game. And I was just completely starstruck. I didn't even know what to say for a solid like 10 seconds of me just staring at her phone. She even looked at me like, "Yo, you good?" Never have I found not fanboying so difficult in my life. And I've met Cristiano Ronaldo like 5 times. But I need to make something very clear. I wasn't shocked because Lime has a big number when it comes to her following on all social media, and it's mostly because I mean this very affectionately, but I'm friends with creators that are twice her size. I'm not trying to downplay her amazing success. In fact, this is to emphasize just how much I like her content. Like, listen, without counting YouTube, I work 3 separate jobs. So every day of the week, I'm working. And in the evenings, she's usually the one that I'm watching as I'm working on my desk. I mean, fuck, I was literally watching her stream as I was writing the script for this video. And the thing that is worth noting is that as a creator on the smaller side, both numbers and height-wise, I always try to make sure that when I'm creating a bond with a fellow creator, they know that I like them as a creator and, you know, that I think of them as like a friend. Just like any other friend, I want them to relax around me and know that I'm not around them for clout, but rather because I want an actual connection. So how did I handle meeting one of my favorite VTubers in person? I didn't. I was already stupidly happy to have been invited to this event, to be playing Wilds early, to be hanging out with my boy Jono, and I was already over the fucking moon. And then out of nowhere, the ferret lady from my second screen just spawned in. So yeah, my mind was all over the place. I was panicking so hard that I went over to her Clips channel, unsubbed, asked her if it was her actual Clips channel so I could subscribe with her watching. Just what the hell was I thinking? I was so nervous, I just ended up going non-verbal for a solid like 20 minutes. I just wanted to do my best to not be a creep and act normal. I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable, so I have no recollection of what happened until just before we left. Once the event had ended, we all packed up and said goodbye to the lovely Capcom team, and then her and I realized that we were both going to the same train station to catch different trains. We had a very nice chat where we walked from the Capcom office to the station, and I felt a lot more relieved to know that I didn't weird her out, at least not that much. When the train got there, I just told her it was an absolute pleasure to meet her, hugged her goodbye, wished her the best, and we just went our separate ways. On my way home, I realized that all of this crazy stuff had happened. This little trip that made me so incredibly happy, it all happened because of you, the person who's watching this video. You have supported my little corner of the internet to the point where I'm being officially recognized by the company that makes the games that I like, and I'm meeting some of my favorite creators. Without your support, this would have literally never happened. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for bringing me this far. Limes, if you end up watching this, let's hunt together again sometime. I'll show you just how much I improved with my charge blade. Let me know in the comments if you guys enjoyed the story time video, because I got another really cool creator story to share with you guys. Plus, it just sounds like a fun way to give you guys insight into my life beyond just content creation and Monster Hunter. It's been an honor to entertain you once again. You know the drill. Stay safe, and until we meet again.